Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
He's accused of harboring a 16-year-old in a hotel after she walked away from a residential facility for vulnerable girls. Tonight, this man is facing a long list of criminal charges. Thank you so much for being with us for the news here at 6 o'clock. I'm Kimberly Gill.
And I'm Ty Steele. That 62-year-old is facing charges, also accused of sexually assaulting that girl at a hotel in Warren, not too far from Vista Maria House, where she had been living. Victor Williams has more on the charges filed. And Victor, we've been waiting to hear about these charges ever since that girl was found back in April.
Yeah, that's correct, Ty and Kimberly. And, you know, Prosecutor Kim Worthy, she really wasted no time drafting up these charges. And this is going to be the beginning of the legal process for this man that's soon going to have to answer to a judge.
62-year-old Kamal Darwiche is being charged in connection to harboring a 16-year-old girl who went missing from Vista Maria. The 16-year-old reportedly ran away from the facility in Dearborn Heights on March the 14th, but it's alleged that between March the 17th and April the 23rd, the 62-year-old took in the 16-year-old girl and sexually assaulted her during her time there. April 23rd is when she was found safe by police. While this young girl was missing, Local 4 covered her search extensively, but we're no longer naming her since she's now been found safe and sound and is ultimately a victim. Darwiche is now being charged with child sexually abusive activity, which is a 20-year felony, delivery of marijuana to a minor, which is an 8-year felony, and harboring a runaway, which is a 1-year misdemeanor. While the warrant has been signed for the charges by the prosecutor, Darwiche has not been officially arraigned because he's currently in ICE custody.
Now, this is technically a Tier 2 offense for Mr. Darwiche, considering the fact that he does have a prior conviction underneath the sex official registry. Victor Williams, Local 4, back to you.
Okay, Victor, thank you. And Local 4 has been covering issues out of Vista Maria in Dearborn Heights ever since that 16-year-old was reported missing in March. You can view Erica Erickson's extensive reporting on the home for vulnerable girls, including her interview with its director. Just go to clickondetroit.com.
All right, in the span of less than 2 weeks, 3 Chinese nationals with ties to the University of Michigan have been brought up on federal charges. Most recently, a researcher from Wuhan, China, is being detained at Detroit Metro Airport. This after being accused of smuggling biological materials into the United States. And then last week, you might remember, a couple is also charged with smuggling a dangerous fungus. So what's going on? Lauren Kostick joining us live with the story. Lauren, what did you find out? Are any of these connected?
Well, Ty, I spoke with a former U.S. attorney here in Michigan, and he tells me these incidents aren't necessarily new, but they have been overlooked by the federal government in the past. Now, these new court documents are landing another Chinese researcher here in federal court. FBI busting a third Chinese scholar with ties to the University of Michigan in the latest smuggling scandal. Chong Shan Han is charged with smuggling and lying about packages mailed to a U of M lab. The packages allegedly containing organisms in petri dishes and biological material hidden in books. Authorities say Han also admitted to wiping her phone before flying to the U.S. to, quote, start fresh. It's the third time in less than 2 weeks that a Chinese national with ties to the Ann Arbor school has been charged with federal crimes. Last week, a couple was accused of smuggling a dangerous fungus for research at the university.
They're seeking your detention based on the fact that you present a serious risk of flight. Do you understand all that?
Well, this is unfortunately not unusual at all. This has been happening for many, many years.
Matthew Schneider, former U.S. attorney for Michigan, saying the feds are cracking down.
Pretty apparent that this is happening more and more. And it's also apparent that the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Justice Department is stepping up enforcement. And I think we're going to have more of these cases in the future. So it's not going away anytime soon.
And we also received a statement tonight from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the acting director there, saying that guidelines for importing biological materials into the U.S. for research purposes are stringent but clear, and actions like this undermine the legitimate work of other visiting scholars. As for those two cases, we are told both women for both cases are scheduled to appear here in federal court this week. Live in downtown, Lauren Kostick, Local 4.
All right, Lauren, thank you.
A former Northville firefighter has jail time ahead for setting his own house on fire. It's an update to a story we've been following since 2019. It was New Year's Day of that year when firefighters rushed to the home of Patrick Nolan in Plymouth Township. An investigation found Nolan set the fire himself in order to collect insurance money. Evidence showed the fire started in 3 separate areas of the home. Nolan was convicted in 2023 and sentenced to between 7 and 20 years. He filed an appeal, but the Michigan Court of Appeals has decided to uphold the conviction.
Nearly 400 nurses at Henry Ford Rochester Hospital are on day 2 of their strike, protesting for better pay and safer nurse-to-patient ratios. The nurses say that when they're stretched too thin, important patient needs can get missed. This affects the quality of care, they say. On the other hand, though, the hospital says the staffing is based on how many patients they have, and what strict staffing rules make it harder to adjust to what patients need.
The hospital canceled negotiations June 9th, yesterday. We're still on the line. No word for them as to going back to the table right now. And I think it's a typical story of a large corporation coming in and buying a community hospital.
Well, the strike is set to last 3 days, ending on Thursday, but the hospital has brought in replacement nurses to cover the shifts of the nurses who are on strike until Saturday morning. This is actually the second strike at the hospital in less than 2 years. It's a battle that dates back to when the hospital was formerly owned by Ascension Healthcare.
If you're heading to Pine Knob Music Theater this summer, expect heavy traffic on I-75. And 313 Presents wants you to plan ahead. They want concert goers to try to arrive as early as possible or consider carpooling to ease some of the congestion. The construction will impact I-75 in a big way and last until the fall. Traffic will be reduced to 2 lanes between Sashabaw Road and Dixie Highway. Pine Knob kicks off its season June 11th.
All right, getting a check on the forecast, and today has been an interesting one. It feels like a day of transition. It's been pretty okay, but we've got some cloud cover overhead, also some wind out there.
It's a little crisp this morning, too, when we were collecting those bikes. Let's get over to Brett Collar. He's in for Kim Adams.
Yeah, we've got some nice changes, at least in the short term. The long term, some negative changes, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But in the meantime, nice right now, low to mid 70s, a couple of upper 60s. But like Ty said, it's howling out there at times, as we've had at times today gusts over 30 miles per hour. They've since relaxed a little bit, but still gusting over 20 in some spots. So if you have any plans to be out this evening, just keep that in mind. But going forward, we're going to turn the page from this system, which is scooting out of here and getting rid of the cloud cover, and look ahead to a hotter day tomorrow, that's for sure. This evening, though, temperatures in the 70s, eventually dropping into the middle to upper 60s. But then we're talking about some mild changes. That's the start of this temperature roller coaster, as we're going to be plenty hot tomorrow and then plenty cool this weekend. Chance for showers and thunderstorms returns as early as later Thursday, and then more rain as we end the week and start the weekend. We'll dive further into all that coming up in just a bit.
All right, look at all those bikes. Our Go Forward event called Wheelie Good Cause has gotten an overwhelming response.
It's been truly amazing to see how many bikes have been donated by our community. People have been showing up all day at the Oakland Mall to donate bikes for volunteers to repair and give them to people who might not otherwise be able to afford a bike. At last count, more than 1,000 bikes have been donated. Hobie Artigue is live for us in Troy to help wrap up a truly remarkable day. It's been so fun out there, Hobie, watching you on the bikes and also just watching all these people show up hour after hour.
Yeah, you hear that? Yeah, Detroit certainly answered the bell today whenever it comes to these bikes. Take a look in the other direction. More than 1,000 bikes donated here. These are all being loaded up onto trucks right now. We already have stacked warehouses right now of bikes that need to be fixed up and then be given to new homes later on this year. But we could not have done any of this and go for it without your support. You showed up at Oakland Mall for a really good cause.
Thank you, Detroit!
The outpouring of support nonstop for our Go For It event, collecting bikes to be fixed up and given away to people in need by 3 great local organizations. So what made you want to come by today?
Well, I saw your ad or whatever it was, and it just touched my heart.
I had, 2 bikes sitting in the garage, and I thought this would be a great event, and especially, learning a little bit about the organization and the fact that they can especially get them to people who use them as transportation.
When I was about 8 or 10 years old, I had a bike stolen out of my backyard, and my parents couldn't get me a bike until the next year. A summer without a bike is terrible. I don't want anybody to experience it.
Hold on, we gotta talk to you about it. From tandem bikes to, I've only seen 1 tandem bike in my life, to unicycles.
That's a good be right.
We saw just about everything. This might be the smallest bike we've got today. Including bikes to make this activity.
Thank you so much.
For everyone.
Because when my boys were small, they got benefits from the program. My son has cerebral palsy, and he got, I'm sorry. It's okay. He got special wheels for his bike to help him learn to ride a bike. And so I wanted to pay it forward and just acknowledge this is a really great program.
Is it emotional watching you part ways with this?
Every single donation,
But still, it's your childhood bike.
came with a story.
I'm sure you have a big bike now?
Yes.
How do you feel when you're knowing that you're going to be giving this bike to another kid and they get to enjoy it?
It just feels really good to give it to someone else when I don't really even need it.
I got it in 1963, and I was 10 years old. Got the headlights, you had to register your bike back then. That's why I brought it here, so it can get used.
These bikes now ready for the next chapter. Yeah, these bikes going to kids and kids at heart. So many people just pouring out support today. These will be refurbished and then given away at certain events around town over the next few months. And as somebody put it earlier today, each one of these bikes that will be cleaned up and donated represents a smile. So think about it, Detroit, how many smiles you provided for people today. We're live at Oakland Mall tonight. Hobie Artigue, Local 4.
Well said. And there were so many cool bikes out there. I saw so many classics. I can't wait for them to be refurbished. And then
absolutely.
we'll all see them around town, all these old 1960s, 70s, and
yeah.
80s bikes rolling around.